All right, this is the Math Models Unit 2, Lesson 6 video. Video is this lesson is kind of wide-ranging. I'm going to kind of break it down into the major concepts that you need to know. The first is measures of central tendency. Measures of central tendency are the numbers that we calculate or use when we have a set of data, like a bunch of numbers or whatever, and we want to kind of describe them or summarize them. And so you've probably heard these before, but they include mean, median, mode, and then sometimes range is included as well. So we're going to look at those four, and we're going to basically talk about how to calculate them given a set of data, which is really what they ask you to do in the lesson. They're going to give you a data set down here at the bottom. There's like 5 questions like this. They're going to give you a data set, and you need to calculate the mean, median, mode, and range. So I have an example already set up for us, so I can show you how to do this. So for finding the mean, median, mode, and range. So let's start by talking about the mean. And I'll kind of define each of these as we go. So the mean is really the average. And to find the average, we add up the numbers and then divide by how many there are. All right, so that's how we do the mean. So looking at our example, we're going to add up these values. I'm going to go ahead and hop over to a calculator. Let's clear this out. 1, 3, 4, 1 plus 3 plus 4 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 7, 10, 11, and 12. 7 plus 10 plus 11 plus 12. We get 66. And then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 values. So we got 66, and there are 10 values, and so we get 6.6 as our mean. So add up the numbers, divide by the number of numbers, or how many numbers there are. Then we have the median. Really gets easier from here. The median is the middle number. So what this means is when you line them up from least to greatest, like I have them lined up here, and you want to find the middle number, you just say, okay, those go away, and you just knock off numbers from the outside until you get to the middle. Now you'll notice there is not an exact middle. The exact middle is right there. If that happens, if they're the same number, then you're already good to go. So we know that our median in this case is 6, because that is the middle number one way or the other. Now, if these numbers were not the same, so this is kind of a unique case that comes across sometimes, you need to just find the middle of those two numbers. So you add them up, divide by 2. So that should be pretty easy in most cases. So that's how we find the median. Just get rid of all this stuff. Oops. All right. So if you end up with different numbers here along the middle, then you add them up and divide by 2. If there is an exact middle number, that's easy. That number is your median. In our case, it's 6. Then we have the mode. Is the number appearing most often. So you look at your list, there's a number that appears more than once, then or the most more times than any other number, then that is your mode. And we also have a mode of 6 because there are three sixes right there, and there are no other repeating numbers, so clearly that is the mode. It is possible to not have a mode. If there is no number that appears more than any other number, you do not have a mode. So if there's a tie, there is no mode. Nothing wins if there's a tie. All right. Lastly, we have the range. The range is the difference between the high and low number. So in ours, we have a high number of 12 and a low number of 1. So we're going to run down and we will do 12 minus 1 equals 11. And so we have a range of 11. So this is what you are doing for the most part here. You are going to do that for numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Find each of those values, mean, median, mode, and range. Just to use the notes that I've given you here as kind of a help, so you know what to do for each one. So that's kind of the first big concept in this lesson. All right. There are a couple of other questions that are a little bit kind of an expansion on the idea of mean, median, and mode and how they kind of relate or how they're different. Number 6, just make it clear. I'll kind of get you started on this. John needs an average of 80 in English to make his parents happy. He now has an average of 78.5 based on 4 grades. 4 grades are 73, 84, 79, and 78. What grade does he need to make on his last test to bring his average up to 80? Okay, right off the bat, it should be obvious 80 is not a good answer. Because if he wants to get his average up to 80, getting an 80 won't do the trick. That's pretty easy. Just use some common sense on that. But here's what we know. We know that in order to have an average of 80, we know that what's going to happen is we're going to add up all the numbers, we're going to divide by 5 because there's 5 test grades, and the answer is going to be 80. So the question is, what does he have to get total score? What does his total score have to be in order to have an average of 80? And really, we should know that that means we need to do 80 times 5, because if the average is 80, then that means that the total had to have started off as whatever 80 times 5 is. So that's the first thing you're going to do. We're going to do 80 times 5, and we get 400. So the total score for the 5 tests has to be 400. And I'm going to let you finish this. All you have to do is subtract the other 4 test scores from 400 to find the value of the final test score that gets them to an average of 80. All right? And we're going to talk through the next ones as well. It says a car dealer is trying to sell a particular model of car. If the models sell for $18,795 and it gives you 5 different numbers for the price of the car. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Which measure, mean, median, or mode, should bring the most customers? In other words, which is the least? So what you have to do is you have to find the mean, the median, and the mode of those 5 numbers, and you find out which one is the least. So when it says Y, let's see what our answer choices are. Sorry about that. Let's erase those guys. Right. The better choice is going to show the lower price. That should be pretty obvious. Like if you're trying to sell cars, you want people to come and buy, you're going to want to show a lower price. So you need to find which is the lowest, mean, median, or mode. So I'm going to let you do that one on your own, the rest of that. But find the mean, median, and mode, which one is lower. Number 8, the newspaper claims the median income of Texans with a family of 4 is $63,258. Why might the newspaper not want to use the mean income to describe income levels in Texas? First answer choice. Since the mean income divides the population so that half are below the mean and half are above the mean, it does not fairly represent the income in Texas. Guess what? That's not what the mean does. That's what the median does. The mean would show the income that occurs most often. That's not the median, or the mean, that's the mode. Answer choice C, since the mean shows the spread of income from high to low, that's not the mean, that's the range. So all they're doing here is making sure you know what the mean is. The mean is probably lower, which would make it look like people earn less in Texas. That's the correct answer, simply based on the fact that these other three answer choices do not describe the mean. They describe one of the other options. All right. Positive, negative, no correlation. I put a diagram in the notes. We covered this in Unit 1, so I'm not going to go over this question. Use the notes. Use what you already know about correlation to answer question number 9. All right, Venn diagrams. I'm just going to do a quick overview of this. In a Venn diagram, you have these circles that intersect, and each area of the circle represents a different group of people. For instance, this group right here likes just sausage. This group over here likes just cheese. This group over here likes just pepperoni. Where those circles cross is groups of people who like both. So 5 people like both sausage and cheese. That does not include the 8 and 8 from the original. So 5 other people like sausage and cheese. 10 other people like pepperoni and sausage. 10 other people like cheese and pepperoni. And lastly, 7 people like all of them. So what you have to do is just answer these questions. From the Venn diagram, how many students like cheese on their pizza? Here's cheese and pepperoni, here's cheese and sausage, here's cheese. So basically you need to know how many people are in this circle all together, okay, for that Venn diagram. And the total number of students surveyed, you have the numbers up here, just add those up and you'll have the total. Not much else to say about that one. All right, number 11. There's a lot going on in this one, or a lot of numbers in this one. But the mode is probably the easiest one. A stem and leaf plot basically takes numbers and organize them in a less kind of long way. But I'll just tell you, each one of these numbers under the leaf represents the following: 10, 11, 12, 12, 13, 13, 18, 18, 19. So you see each of these, and then on the next road we'd have 21 and so on, 22, 22, 22. So you have this long string of numbers. Okay, so in order to find the median, all you have to do is begin crossing out numbers. So as you go, you're going to just cross out, cross, 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 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and keep going, 9, 10. And as you keep crossing, you will find a middle number. And then with mode, you just need to look at that list and see which one has the most entries. Where do we see the most of the same number? Remember, the stem is the tens, the leaf is the ones, just like I showed you over here. And then number 12, you have just definitions. So what type of chart or graph shows this type of data? So you're going to just use the definitions from above. All right, that's it for lesson 6.